sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. When Woods where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When Woods where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. When Woods where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When Woods where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. When Woods where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When Woods where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Unplugged Unfiltered. I am your one host.
Well, you are the host.
I am a host.
I would be considered a co-host.
Yeah, we're both hosts of Unplugged Unfiltered. I'm Brian Clements, alongside, of course, Bob Clements. And tonight is an episode, the storm before the show. And that shit, to me, this week has been nothing but pure chaos. It's a great chaos. It's a fun chaos. It's exciting. It's nerve-wracking, but holy shit, there's a lot to do right before you get ready for a show.
Have you had any sleep at all this week?
Yes. Yeah. Typically it's on the couch with my laptop still on my lap. And of course my fiance is incredible, and she always comes in about 2 o'clock in the morning, moves my laptop, covers me up in a blanket, gives me a kiss goodnight, and then just lets me sleep on the couch. But I do have to shout out to her because it has been incredible, especially with 5 kids in the house, one of those being 4 months old. She has allowed me to get a lot of sleep, understanding that chaos is happening in my life right now as we get ready for the show. But yeah, no, it's yeah, you've experienced it, right? I mean, how many times have we prepared a week in advance to take BCI stuff in a U-Haul truck?
A lot. I think
Expo.
We'll explain a little bit about the show because a lot of people are not going to be familiar with the Equip Expo in Louisville. But yeah, this is I've probably been doing this as a speaker for probably 20-ish years.
Yeah.
So I don't pack much stuff anymore. I have people pack it for me.
Yeah.
And I just basically show up and speak.
Yeah. So you're the Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go quite that far.
You don't
yeah.
mow Arrowhead Stadium's
I do not.
lawn.
I do not. But I do criticize the people that mow it, but I don't mow it. So why don't you share with everybody what the Equip Expo? I mean, this is like the show in all of North America. I don't think there's a bigger show in North America than this for the green industry.
Oh no, it's not. I mean, and that's. I mean, it is kind of our Super Bowl for the green industry, for landscapers, for outdoor power equipment dealers. This is the biggest show. I think they said it's 2.2 million square feet that it covers this year.
It's massive.
It's the largest show that they've ever had. But for us, getting prepared, we're going to be in front of thousands and thousands of customers. And there's no other place that you can do it at that scale in one place in a matter of 3 days. I mean, it is, but it takes a lot of coordination, especially when you're taking technology and booths.
Right.
And it'd be great if we could just ship it all, but unfortunately we can't just ship it all because it would cost us.
I just fly.
It would cost us a fortune to ship some of our items, as just the base of our kiosk weighs like 65 pounds. So anyways, no, it's a huge show. It's our Super Bowl. And I think every entrepreneur, especially ones who, in the tech industry, if you're in the tech industry, and just kind of more of a global, not as niche of a tech industry, right? New York Tech Week, that is your kind of Super Bowl. If you're doing farmers markets, if you do a lot of farmers market, maybe your state fair, your county fair is your Super Bowl.
Right.
I think everyone has that show that's their Super Bowl. And there's a lot of preparation that goes into getting to that point. And you really, especially as a CEO of a new company, you really feel it, you know, or if you're a sole proprietor, you're the only person in the company, you feel it, you know, because you want to make that good impression. And we had that conversation, right? The grind behind the booth,
right?
We had that like 2 weeks ago. And that's taking everything that we talk about with the grind behind the booth, but what happens to get you to that booth? It's a pretty chaotic time. And for me, you know, my chaos is trying to get all of the meetings done that I know I'm not going to be able to do next week, trying to get those all packed into this week, so that next week I can really focus on the show. So
my perk is everybody I work with understands, because this is the industry I'm in. So everybody knows that the Equip Expo, shout out to Chris Kaiser and Chuck and all the people that put that on. There, because you talk about people being crazy right now, right? I'm guessing that they're crazy too. So I mean, they put this massive show on, Chris and Chuck and those guys do. So big shout out to them. I'm looking forward to connecting with them all again down there. But you know, like you said, Brian, you know, this is the big show in the industry that you and I play in. But it's no different than, you know, I think the lawn and garden shows that happen in, you know, in the cities and stuff like this. That may be somebody else's. That's their big show. It's the Super Bowl. I mean, that may be the thing there. So there's a lot that goes in prepping for it. And it's your kind of one opportunity to really showcase yourself in front of lots of different people. So it's worth it. It's crazy. A lot of prep goes into it. But again, as we're talking to, you know, young entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, whether it's a Louisville show like this, the Equip Expo, that's going to have, I don't know, tens of thousands of potential customers at it for you. You know, it may be like I say, a fall or garden show or something like that there, but prep's all the same. Takes a lot to do it. It does.
I mean, but that prep leads to, you know, creating some type of calmness at the show. I mean,
absolutely.
And that's, you know, when you get to that point, it's like, okay, I can feel this pressure. The storm's kind of brewing. But you know, at that point, you're on the edge of something great. And that's for us, you know, especially with Triton, as we know that this show has the ability to take us from a DMS, you know, a very powerful DMS with a decent amount of customers, to a very powerful DMS with a shit ton of customers. You know, and that's,
and a DMS is a dealer
management system. Yes.
So for people that are not in the dealership world, this is the software that runs everything in a dealership. Everything goes through this software. So it's a huge platform that goes through there.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's we're excited, and one of the things that I've really been focusing on is the behind the scenes madness that happens, right? It's so the prep that it takes, what it looks like, team calls. My marketing team right now, we're doing, they're doing 3 additional meetings this week. They were doing 3 additional.
It's finally time that they stepped up and got serious about their jobs.
But they're adding additional meetings because they know how important this event is, and they know that we have to build that presence. We have to build that excitement, and we're starting to see a lot of that pay off because I don't want to say we're one of the top agenda'd starred people for the Equip Expo, but we have a lot of people who have added us to their agenda, which is a lot more than I ever actually thought knew that there was an agenda that you could add booth to.
Well, 90% of people don't know, but they got a brand new app down there, so there's going to be more and more people do it. But again, to be added to an agenda means that people that are signed up for the show are going there, and they've got you specifically targeted. Say, over these 3 days, I want to go and see this booth.
Yeah,
and again, I know you've got hundreds of people that you're never going to be able to talk to. You just not going to have the time to do it as you go through and do it. But anyway, but again, it does take a lot of organization, and it is chaotic. We talk about that. Chaos is a part of it. As you do them, I've been doing this for so long. Mine's not really chaotic anymore because I've been there. I know what to do. I know all the people. They got great people down there. So as you do it more and you get to know the people, the chaos becomes a little less. But when the very beginning, I remember the first time I did the show years and years and years and years ago, and I was like nervous as a rat. You're a cage. Because you're in front of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people at one time. And they've all been led to believe that you are something special. And and you know that you're really not. 20 years ago, I go like, okay, I'm okay, but
but you've been as long as you've been doing it now, they call you up and say, "Hey, Bob, are you going to be here this year?" And they're like, "Yes." And they're like, "Well, what kind of caviar do you want? Do you want us to pick you up in the Lamborghini?"
No, that's actually never happens to me. I go, can you find yourself from the hotel over to the convention center? That's what I get.
No,
they're phenomenal people. I love working with, like I say, Chris and Chuck and all those folks over there. They're just super people.
Oh, absolutely. And they've been incredible to work with. And I will say that, with us in Triton being such a new company, we were kind of behind the 8 ball on trying to get into the Equip.
Right.
And they really went out of their way to make sure that, we could present what we were wanting to present. And it was great. But with all of that being said, it's going, okay, maybe we don't have a booth. And then, 2 months ago, we go, oh, we do have a booth. And so now I have team travel I have to handle. I have to handle all of the logistics of getting everything there. And we're still experiencing surprises coming up to the booth. I brought 500 brochures here to stage for me loading it up because I pulled the short straw and have to drive the 8 hours to Louisville on Monday. But we got those brochures and there was a error in the printing, and we're like, oh shit, And so I just got a notification.
And how many people looked at it? This is the other thing, we all learned.
4 people look at it, and there was still an error in it, and we didn't notice it until I actually had a physical pamphlet in my hand. And then I get a notification that that shipment has now been delayed, and so it's coming in on Monday. Well, it's coming in after I've left. Luckily, Tori, my fiance, she is coming down on Tuesday, and so she's gonna be able to bring them with her. But it was just one of those like you just don't know what the last minute surprises. And Dave even said, so Dave, of course, our loyal listener, Dave, he said, hand him a business card with QR codes, and I think that QR codes now. That helps eliminate a lot of those surprises, especially with handout material, because you can hand them something and say, hey, here's a QR code. Now you hope that you don't have a spelling error or something like that on your website. But if you got a really good website development team,
and you do,
I do,
yes, you do.
they can go ahead and fix that really quick as soon as we notice it. But that's a great thing. And he's saying, hand him a QR code with a lead form. He's been working very heavily on our new lead form. that is driven by a QR code. So
Yeah.
he's praising himself currently.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I will praise him too.
Nobody else praises Dave. He needs to do it himself. That's a part
I
of
will
it.
praise Dave every single day.
Is there a reason that, Dave, you can't put an RF tag on a person and then just so here, it's kind of like an ear piercing. You really won't notice it, but we'll be able to track you.
Yeah, we'll know exactly where you're at in the expo center. And as soon as you get within 200 feet of our booth, we've already gathered all of your information.
Exactly.
And we've actually, Dave said 2 weeks. We have it done in 2 weeks. Everything with Dave is 2 weeks.
We got 2 weeks.
Yeah, no. But it's fun.
And I wanted to give you, Dave, a mild, shocking stimulation to your ear as you get closer to the geofencing that you built around the booth.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. If we go to any of our competitors, you actually get tased.
Yeah, exactly.
So
wow. That hurt.
Yeah. But I mean, it's really one of those, as you kind of go through the team calls, the travel, the logistics, the last minute surprises, the feeling of unorganized chaos when the plan is coming together. It's an organized chaos, but it still feels wild. And I know as you've done it over the years, right? It's like, okay, we've got all these things together. And when you had the dealer pavilion,
yes,
that was probably one of the biggest areas that you guys have ever had.
Absolutely.
And we took a lot of
stuff
to that. I remember one year we rented like a F-150 and wrapped everything in tarps. And then the next year we're like, oh, screw this. We're going to need a U-Haul.
Poor people have poor ways.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do.
You know, but it always felt wild, right? And as the Equip Expo and as OPEI came to you and said, hey, we want to do this, you've always adapted and moved with that to facilitate what they're wanting to do specifically for the dealers. But no matter how organized it is, it's still chaotic.
It is. You know, the first time it wasn't the first time. The first time they just wanted to see if the dogs would eat the food when I went down and spoke. Mm-hmm. And the dogs tend to like the food, so I got invited back 25 years in a row.
Yeah.
But it's probably maybe the third or fourth time the year it was down. They actually wanted me to build a dealership inside of the pavilion with lifts for equipment and stuff like that.
I remember that. Yep.
I mean, it was crazy. It was fun, but like you say, but it's like, literally you want us in a day to set up a real dealership, shop, parts department, and go like, yeah, that'd be great. We'll give you the space to do it. And I go, cool.
Cool.
Right.
That's great.
So, and awesome. But God bless them. They've been nothing but they've been a blessing to me. But anyway, but like you say, you just, you got to roll with the flows.
Yeah.
The other piece I think, and again, for everybody that's listening, one of the perks that you had prior to Equip is you had an opportunity to kind of do a soft launch down with Pace, which is one of the distributors in the industry. I think one of the best. There's 4 or 5 out there that I love to death, Pace being one of them, because they really take care of dealers. But you were able to do a soft launch there. Yeah. And from that, there's things you go like, oh, well, we need to change that.
Yes.
Oh, we need to change. So, I mean, that's the other piece, and again, I would encourage everybody, if you have an opportunity to do something that's a smaller kind of show, you're just going to learn kind of what you need to know, what you don't need to know, and things like that. So anyway, that was again a blessing. Shout out to Pace.
Absolutely. 100%.
For that down there, but it was a good soft launch. And again, you just learned a lot from it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think every great launch, right, has this moment when you're not sure if you're ready.
Yes, I would agree.
I was just watching 2 nights ago as I was falling asleep on the couch working on my computer. I was watching The Martian. The Martian, great movie. It's a great movie. But they did their first launch, right?
Right.
Their first launch blew up as they were trying to send stuff to
Matt Damon. Yeah.
And then the second launch comes around, and everybody from the Chinese NASA, right? They're all excited because they didn't experience this massive failure.
Right.
Not that we in our soft launch experienced a failure, but we go, and with a rocket, it doesn't take a whole lot of miscalculation for something really bad to
especially
happen.
when there are people in it, right? Yeah. So it's like, I don't really want to ride that rocket right now.
But with that, we learned so much, but we're still very nervous going into this. It's like, what did we forget? What did we need to change? What do we need to do? And so, you're excited for that launch, but you just don't know, are we ready? Is it that? But once those rockets take off, which is kind of where we're at, right? As soon as I load everything into the back of the car on Sunday afternoon, We've hit the boosters.
You launched your rocket.
It is ignited.
Exactly.
We haven't actually taken off. Well, we've taken off, but at about 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If no police officers watching, probably 80.
Yeah.
But
You're not going to get out of Earth's orbit at 70 miles an hour.
No,
I'll just tell you that.
No. But I will get out of Missouri and through Illinois and into
Absolutely.
Indiana and then finally into Kentucky.
Kentucky.
But again, that's where we've taken that soft launch and we've reflected on what we learned at the past, and made sure that this is going to be different this time. Kind of as we're going into it.
And it's a little nerve wracking. I always ask, people say, well, like, oh, you get nervous? And I go, sure, I get nervous. Excuse me. I've been speaking for a lot of years. But I always tell people nervousness to me is always a good sign. If I weren't nervous, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the same thing with you. This is such a massive show and it's very expensive. The show's not expensive to get into, but the people to get there, they have to travel there. They have to get hotel rooms. They have to buy food.
Yeah.
They have to do all these things. So it's a pretty big expense for the people that come there. And you want to make sure that you do it well for them.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that Triton shows well for them. So if they're there and they came down, I mean, you got, I don't know, like 700 or 800 people that's already registered to come to your booth.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that they spent a lot of time and energy to get there. You want to make sure that they have a great experience. I mean, I'm always doing that with speaking. I want people to walk away going like, man, it's the best hour I've ever, it's the fastest hour I've ever sat in on.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing that I've ever done. And and again, so I just think again, you're going to be nervous. Once you start, it all goes away. But I don't think there's anybody that's, if you're a true professional, I think everybody feels a little nervous. I mean, you think about professional football players, Patrick Mahomes, I'm sure he's nervous, when he does his first play.
Yeah.
After that, he's not anymore.
Yeah.
Because everything's flowing. But when he walks out there and gets under the ball the first time on the first play for that particular game, right? He's going to be a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
And that's good because it means he's prepped and he's ready to go and anxious to play. So,
well, and so as like when you first started out, right. And how did you personally deal with the pressure of those nerves, of those excitement? And I will tell you,
I did mostly cocaine and methamphetamine.
It
seemed to work for me. It's not for everybody.
It's not,
and it is hard on your teeth. I'll just tell you that.
Breaking Bad. Okay. So, but I mean, that's a real question because, and I think that there's so many entrepreneurs out there, right? They're getting, and whether they're going to a expo, whether they're doing a farmer's market, whether they're doing a show, or whether they're doing their first live demo in front of a singular person, right? That might be their big show, right? That might be their big moment of that. How do you personally deal with that pressure of saying, am I ready? Am I good enough? Have I prepared enough? Do I have the right material? How do you prepare for that? Your first real big one.
Well, again, you got to practice. So I tell people, I don't really have to practice much anymore because I've been doing this for so long. But when I first started out, if I was going to do an hour talk, I probably spent 8 hours prepping for it, doing it, going through what I was going to say, because I was never a person to read a PowerPoint. I have a point, an idea on a PowerPoint, and I'll probably talk 5 or 6 minutes on that idea.
Yeah.
So I always prepped well. I've done it so long now that I know how to play the song, for lack of a better word.
Absolutely.
But I would still say today, I always because I also help a lot of young speakers get started in the business speaking, as long as they're not coming into my territory. But I do have a lot of young speakers, the people that want to become speakers, and I help them the best I can. But I always tell them, people, what I always do is I always get to my room early, right? So, I'm going to be, typically I may be kicking something off. And if it is, let's say it starts at 8 o'clock, like I did at Pace, and I'm going to actually kick the whole meeting off for them. I got a 20-minute piece that I'm going to do, but I get there before anybody else gets there. I get kind of the room set, make sure that my PowerPoints and everything are working. And then as people are coming in, then I sit down and introduce myself to them and I start talking to them. And so, because that relaxes me.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it calms me down a little bit. So now I've got people that know me or I know them. I've had conversations with them. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
And again, that to me is, it's a relaxer for me. So I've talked to people, had conversations, walk around, we joke around a little bit. And then when it's time to go up, I've already kind of started, so to speak, and I'm just more relaxed when I do it that way. I know guys come in, I've seen a lot of guys down there that come in and they haven't even checked their PowerPoint and it doesn't work right. It's like, geez, be a pro, check your shit before you come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sure everything's going to work. Or they get upset because something didn't work. And it's like, I could use a PowerPoint or not use a PowerPoint. I know my stuff well enough to know that if my PowerPoint went out, I could still do my full hour and never have a PowerPoint up.
Oh, absolutely.
But anyway, but I think that's the piece of it, is just making sure that you're prepared. I'm a big fan again of, it's like when you do the show down there, when you guys are down there, you're going to have people walking around, and it's just kind of, even if they're not interested in what you have, just having conversations with people, it just starts to relax you a little bit.
Yeah.
That works best for me. And no, I do not do cocaine or methamphetamines, but I'm not opposed to coffee at all.
I mean, coffee. And I will say the other thing for us is going to be tea, right? When you're at a big thing like that, is don't pound energy drinks. Don't pound sodas, right? You need to hydrate. You need to drink your tea. Protect your voice, especially on a long one. If it's a day, you don't necessarily have to protect your voice, but you almost have to pull that Taylor Swift mentality, right? It's like, I'm not going to talk the day before a big show. I'm not going to get that, I don't think, benefit, but I do have an 8-hour driveway.
That'll help. But I would say again, I mean, it's, speaking is just like exercise. There's, many of my programs are 6 or 7 hours long.
Yeah.
I'll start it and I will go 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah.
Stopping for a break, for a coffee break in the morning, lunch break, and then come back in. But I've done it enough times that doesn't strain my voice.
Yeah.
And I project pretty well. And also, again, I always encourage people to, get me mic'd up if you can. Some rooms are small enough you don't need a microphone. But, but anyway, but it's as you do it, it's like I guarantee you, when you get done on Friday down there, your voice is going to be fried.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because again, you haven't had that kind of, although you're talking all the time to people all day long, doing demos and stuff, so it may not be as bad as you think, or as I think it will be, but it'll be fried. And
everybody on my team's voice is going to be completely fried.
Yeah. You probably, because you've been speaking a lot on meetings and stuff like this, your voice is pretty tuned up, I guess I'd say. But anyway, but those are things you have to think about. Again, you got to, if you're going to do a fall, spring and garden show or something like this, you're going to be there probably from Friday afternoon all the way through Sunday. You're going to talk to probably 500 to 800 people. And you got to keep yourself excited. Yeah. That's the other piece. I always tell people, again, it may be the 18th time I've done the same program someplace else, but I got to always act like it's my first time I've ever heard it. And I laugh at my jokes just as hopefully as much. I just think they're funny. So I would laugh at them anyway, but I think that's a piece of it. I think you have to, kind of mentally prepare for that as you go through it. And like I say, this is a huge show for you, but we've got people on here that are entrepreneurs that are going to go to, maybe a smaller show or something like that to start. And, just prepare yourself for it and understand that it's okay to be nervous. I think nervousness shows me that you care.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I will say, and this is a nod to you. I have every single one of my employees scheduled to come to one of your workshops. And Michael, my COO, and I really want anybody who hasn't seen you speak to come see you speak, because you can control a crowd, you can control an audience. And I want them to all understand, what does it look like to truly engage? You might be tired, you might be exhausted,
right?
But what does that engagement look like? And so I'm sending all of them to one of your seminars.
Oh, good. Have them come up and introduce themselves.
I will.
No, I know.
I know.
Go say hi, Allie. I know you who you are, Allie. I've known you since you were, I don't know, like 9.
Yes. So, but I have them doing that because that engagement, and that positivity and that motivation that you put into your speaks, or your speeches, not your speaks. English is hard.
English is hard.
But that helps them create a mind shift, because a lot of especially I think my employees who are not familiar with the industry, they go, what if this doesn't work? What if this doesn't work? Right? You create a motivation that says, okay, I'm motivated, I'm pumped up, I'm seeing that this is what the industry is going to look like. And it changes that mindset from what if it doesn't work to what if it does, right? They can
absolutely.
Then can go, okay, I'm excited. Bob got me excited.
Right.
All of these dealers are excited, and they're all walking to our booth. Holy shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think that's the piece of it. I tell people, part of my job, there's, I always tell people there's kind of three categories in the world of speaking. You have a facilitator.
Yeah.
Okay. And that facilitator does that. They facilitate conversations and things like that. Then you have, kind of a trainer.
Yeah.
Right. That's there. Then you have a speaker. And so a trainer really is kind of a step above a facilitator. They're teaching you ideas and concepts. But I tell people, once you become in the world of a speaker, right? So a speaker, I always tell people, the people, if you're a speaker, come to be entertained.
Absolutely.
Okay. They want a little bit of knowledge, but really they just want to laugh and have fun.
100%. Yeah.
And so that's why I always try, when I'm working with new speakers, I said, your problem is you think people give a damn about what you have to say.
Yeah.
They got 45 minutes. They just want to have fun.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And walk away with 2 or 3 ideas, not 87 ideas they're never going to use, And so I always think that's a piece of it. So I always look at it when I'm speaking. My number one objective, my number one goal is, I'm going to have them 45 minutes for an hour, and they're going to go through, and your sister Sarah and I are going to do some programs together and stuff like that. But I want them, what I hope is the person that was on before me really sucked. Okay. Yeah. Right. And so when I come in, they go like, oh my God, Bob's here. Right.
Absolutely.
And again, that's what I try to do, but I also, then you have to use a lot of energy to do that. So I tell people again, it's kind of like what you said. It doesn't matter how you feel coming into it. They don't care that you're sick. They don't care you have a fever, none of that matters to them. And it shouldn't matter to them. I get paid to come in and speak.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's my job. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal is, again, is to let them have fun, get them, and I want them to walk away going like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever been to in my life.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you have to do at the booth. You have to have people walk away and go like, okay, this is the coolest thing in the world. And that's going to happen because your team is going to be excited to invite them to come in and experience Triton.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And I mean, your software is so, out of the box. I mean, I know you've done a lot of demos on it, and I've seen a lot of software. And I'm not saying this because you're my son. I'm just saying there is nothing like Triton out there. It does not exist today, and the dealers are going to be so freaking excited about what it can do, and that's going to carry your people through it also. When people walk away going like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like, because they've never seen anything like this before in the industry. I don't even know in other industries if a Triton exists out there. So anyway, I think that's a piece of it. And, again, I'm excited to have your people set in on my workshops. I'm always looking for another fan. Somebody that'll stand up and applaud me. And I would hope that they would do that without me encouraging them to. So anyway, but I think that's a big piece of it. And again, whether I tell people again, if I were working a city fair, whatever like this, and we talked about this before, be out in front of your booth, don't be behind your booth, engage your people and stuff like this. But if you're there all day long and it's hot or whatever, you got to be just as pumped up at 4:00 in the afternoon as you were at 8:00 in the morning. The old thing is you got to fake it. Sometimes you just got to fake it. Right.
Well, I mean, and it comes back to, again, is you're an entertainer, right? And so now you might,
most of the people on this podcast would disagree with that. I just want you to know.
I know.
I just want you to know that. So just as a point of reference, it's like, yeah, he's really not that funny, Brian.
I know, but that's what you have to be as an entrepreneur in those environments, is you have to be an entertainment.
Absolutely.
Now your show's not lasting an hour and a half, right?
No.
I'm not putting on a full set list. I have to entertain for 3 minutes, and it's got to be the best 3 minutes.
Exactly.
And that's something that you do in your speaking, right? Is you might have 45 minutes, but in that 45 minutes, you've told 2 stories, and what you said or the points that you actually made might not have grasped with that person. They might not have picked up on that point, but they remember the story, and they're going to get back to that point because you say, I have 45 minutes. I'm going to captivate you. I'm going to pull you in. And at the end of a concert, right, you're never going, oh, that was the best song that I've ever heard. You're like, that was the most incredible experience I've ever had.
Exactly.
And that's what you have to do at a show like this, is create that 3-minute entertainment, that almost sham wow, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were laughing. I forget what it was. It was, I don't know, a few podcasts back. And your mom and I were at a lawn and garden event in Kansas City. We were looking at, all the different, bathroom remodelers and, outdoor power equipment. I mean, it was this huge show over in Kansas. We went over there. We were walking around with really no intention to do anything. We were maybe looking at trying to find somebody that can do some remodeling work for us. We'd had somebody in the past, and we went and talked to them, and they were like booked out forever.
Yeah.
But as we were walking by, we walked by this guy that had this wine bottle opener that was like a pump. You had a needle in it, and pump it, and the cork popped out, and they had all this stuff. And this guy was so good, and his story was so good, and people just gathered around him.
Yeah.
And this thing was like, this pump and all these other things was in this velvet bag, because velvet makes everything a lot more expensive.
Yeah. Ask anybody who drinks Crown Royal.
Exactly. Exactly. And we walked away after spending $100 on this stupid ass thing, and it worked good.
Yeah.
Right. But it didn't work any better than the corkscrew we already used to unscrew wine. But this guy was so funny, so compelling, that he basically took $100 from me, and I was happy with the experience, and that was what it is. But his story was so good. And I think, again, when and I do this when I speak, I always try to come up and say, hey, give an example. So, hey, I had a dealer that did this, or I had a dealer that did this. And I try to make the story relevant to them. Yeah. I've been blessed that I've worked with a lot of dealers, so there's a lot of stories I can use. But it's kind of the same thing. You have to, when you're showing off your software, say, I just did a demo the other day, and this was a question one of the people asked me.
Absolutely.
And they go like, oh, I'd like to see that too. And it could be preset. I mean, you kind of know what people are going to ask about, but I think that's the other piece of it. It's just saying, here's a question I got to ask. I don't know if you have any interest in that, or, oh yeah, I'd really like to see that. You can guide people. I mean, this guy guided your mom and I to spend $100 on a freaking pump that blows the cork out of the bottle. But it was so cool, and he guided us the whole way. I mean, I know what he was doing. I mean, it's like, I'm aware of how you manipulate human beings. I teach it. Right. And so I was aware the whole time, but it was so fun, and it was so funny. And the money wasn't a big deal to us. We didn't care. But anyway, I just say again, I think that's the piece of it again, is part of what you said, when you're, kind of part of your mindset is you have to be entertaining. You're selling software in and of itself tends not to be entertaining.
Absolutely.
Okay. It solves a problem, but in solving the problem, you have to create some entertainment value there also. I mean, you've been in dealerships for so many times, so you have the ability to say, hey, I was at a dealership one time, and this is what we were trying to get their software to do, the same one that you're using. And they go, my software won't do that. And I said, I know it won't, because we couldn't get it to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
And this was the problem that it created. And let me show you how we solved that problem. And they go like, oh, I want to see that. And I think that's a piece of it. You got to, think about how you lead people through your presentation. Yours may only be 3 minutes, but I think 3 minutes is tougher than 45 minutes.
Absolutely.
If I got 45 minutes and I screw up somewhere along the line, 3 minutes of it, I got plenty of time to recover. Okay. Because I know what I'm going to do for the last, because the last thing is always already built into all my programs. I got about 5 different closings that I do. And I always laugh. I have so many people that see me so many times. They go like, "Oh yeah, what's close number 3?" That was pretty good. We had you had to stand up and put our arms up in the air and close our eyes and show us how to change our mind, kind of thing like that. So you were laughing because I did that at pace, and you went, "Oh, here comes Bob. He's getting ready to wrap it up.
We're getting a standing ovation. Here we go.
Bob gets a standing ovation." So anyway, but again, so I have kind of I always have the beginning scripted. I know where I'm going to go with it. And then the middle kind of flows, and I interact with the audience, so I can change in just that. But my last 5 minutes, it's nailed down tight. So I got 45 minutes. If I make a mistake, you've got 3 minutes. So you've got maybe 30 seconds at the front. Okay. You got to catch them. Then you're going to have, let's say, maybe 2 minutes in the middle to create pain and take it away. And then you got another 30 seconds to get them excited again about, so how would your dealership be different if you could do this with your software, that's, and they go like, oh my God, so I think personally, your 3 minutes is tougher than my 45.
And I mean, again, like you said, is you have 3 minutes to make a lasting impression on someone that you want to be a monthly reoccurring subscriber.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's definitely a tough thing, but as you look at that, it's one of those, as entrepreneurs, we thrive in the storm because that's where growth happens. And as you start to understand, I have to be an entertainer. I have to deal with the chaos that comes prior to even the show starting. But that's where growth happens. I mean, with Michael and I at Pace, we grew a lot from the moment that we got to Pace to the moment we left Pace. I know my team was like screaming at me, like, stop texting me. But I was texting them. They became my notebook, right? And it's like, oh, we need this. We need this. Why don't we have this? We should do this. We need to adjust this. We need to do this. And we learned so much. And I can guarantee, even at the Equip Expo, our big game is I'm going to lean over to my teammates and say, hey, next time we've got to do this. We've got to change this. We've got to fix this. While still trying to actually take a breath while talking to all of these dealers. And like you said, you create this funny moment, this relatable moment every single time.
Right.
And I do that, especially like with intake pictures, for outdoor power equipment dealers, it's very easy because it's like, here's where you do intake pictures, because we've never had a customer come and go, oh, my unit wasn't like that when I dropped it off. And they go, oh, I had 3 of those last week.
I didn't have that tear in my seat. That tear's been there 18 years. Right. Yes, you did.
There's mold growing on the foam.
Growing on the foam. Yeah. That did not happen yesterday.
Yeah. So, but you have to understand that yes, you're going to go through the storm. The storm, everybody deals with it. But that's where your growth happens, and for us, I mean, we experienced that growth, and not to kind of give away any Easter eggs to what's coming for Louisville, but we've taken that growth and our booth has expanded. We have done so many different things, and we've created some incredible partnerships. And I have to shout out Gravity Payments.
These guys are the best.
Yes, they are. They are incredible. They're a proud, this episode, next week's episode, all brought to you guys by Gravity Payments, and Triton, but Gravity Payments more importantly, because they're great. But
people are going to say, so what is Gravity Payments? So tell everybody so you leave out so much context.
I do. I mean, so
I need you to be a teacher for just a moment. So what is Gravity Payments?
So Gravity Payments is a credit card processing company.
So you see the little machine that's sitting on a counter.
Absolutely.
Probably going to be Gravity Payments probably processes all those credit cards.
Yeah. And
so that's what they do.
Yeah.
And so in our industry, they're the big guy.
They are the best. They treat all of the dealers the best. And they have such an incredible set of core values. If you look at Dan Price, who is the owner of Gravity Payments, he was the very first person to, all of the people that work for him, they all have a $70,000 a year salary. And then he dropped his salary down to match their salary. Now it's actually substantially higher.
He should have called me, because I said, that's really a bad idea.
Yeah. But
I appreciate the effort, but
but the core values that Gravity Payments has, and then brings to our team, because what our core values are, and the product that we want to give our dealers and the way that we want to treat our dealers, it matches up so much. Yeah, and we're super excited to have them on as a partner with Triton, and a partner here on Unplugged Unfiltered.
Their culture and your culture are aligned. That's the big piece when you're looking for a partnership. You want somebody that's aligned with what your beliefs are and your culture is. And so they're a great fit for you.
They are. So you'll see a lot of connections. If anybody here is from the outdoor power equipment industry, and you're coming down to Louisville, you'll see a lot of connections between us and Gravity Payments. Down there, we're doing a lot of stuff together. We're doing a lot of giveaways, a lot of really fun stuff with them.
And I'm going to be in their booth, I think, on Wednesday from 12:30 to 1.
Yeah, there's two times that you're going to be down there to do meet and greets and question and answers.
Exactly.
So, I
do charge for autographs. So
there you go. Okay, Taylor.
No, I don't. No. Well, hopefully, if you're down at the Equip Expo, you come up to me before I speak or after I speak. I'd love to meet you. And like I say, Gravity is huge in the industries that we play in, and they're to me, they're the top one. So we're excited to have them on here as a sponsor.
Absolutely. Well, and again, as we're getting to Louisville, not to try to push Triton too much, but I'm going to push Triton quite a bit on this one, because we are in the storm before the show. And I can't say too much right now, but trust me, if you're going to be at Louisville, anybody who's in the outdoor power equipment industry, you guys are going to be blown away. Louisville, the Equip Expo will never be the same. That's our hope, is that it will never be the same after this year with Triton because of some pretty incredible things that we're doing down there this year. So
yeah, what the kind of the thing to me about Triton, there's a concept in business called leapfrogging. And I don't think we've talked about this on our podcast. We actually should do a podcast on it at some point.
yeah,
But leapfrogging is where most businesses try to do incremental growth. So, I'm going to grow 5% or I'm going to grow 10%.
Yeah.
And that's fine, and what you're trying to do is catch up or stay just a little bit ahead of your competitors. And the concept of leapfrogging in businesses is doing something that is so radically different.
yeah,
Right. That it's not a matter of keeping up. You jump so far over everybody else, they can't keep up with you.
100%.
It was kind of like, in the space program in 1959. And if you've ever watched the movie October Skies, that's what October Skies was about, the Soviet Union putting up the Sputnik satellite in 1959. And again, we in the United States were devastated. I mean, we were not the space people that we were. I mean, hell, we couldn't even get a rocket to launch successfully in 1959. And so while we were trying to catch up in the satellite world, Kennedy, who was our president then in 62, said, screw trying to catch up. We're not going to try to beat you at satellites because we're never going to catch up with you.
Yeah.
Screw you. We're going to the moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And that's called a leapfrog. We
Yeah.
didn't have the technology to do it. We didn't have the people to do it. We didn't have Tang,
Mhm.
Velcro, or microwaves. They all came out of the space program.
Yeah.
But that's leapfrogging. So you do something that's so radically different. I think about Are you familiar with Nokia phones? Remember
Yeah.
Nokia?
I do know what Nokia.
Okay, so
phones are,
if anybody's familiar with Nokia, at one point they owned the cell phone market.
Yeah.
If you remember the Nokia phones, you had your antenna that you pulled up out of the phone. Okay?
Yes.
You had to have an antenna you pulled out of it.
Yeah.
And Nokia was incrementally improving their phone. They ultimately got a camera and stuff like this. But there was a young guy, you may or may not have heard of him by the name of Steve Jobs.
Yeah. I think it sounds familiar.
He headed up a company called Apple.
Yeah.
And
That's a fruit distribution.
No, it's a different Apple than that.
Oh, and Forrest Gump, we're taking that.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
what it is, but it's a fruit company.
But he leapfrogged the largest phone company in the world, and he created the thing called the iPhone.
Yeah.
And so instead of you having to pull an antenna, it was a computer. It had a glass screen. You didn't have buttons. You touched the screen.
Yeah.
And then he created a thing called an app. Are you familiar with the app?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that came out of the iPhone world.
Yeah.
Okay. Because to make the iPhone work, you had apps on it.
Yeah.
And that whole thing. But that's what leapfrogging is. And I think that's what you're going to find with Triton. Triton is so far ahead of everybody that's going to be down there that has dealer management software.
Yes.
Even them, they're going to go, oh shit, they just went to the moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're trying to get another satellite up in space. And they just, you Elon Musk me, right? You want to go to the moon, screw that. We're going to Mars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
And my rocket can land itself pretty coolly back on its path.
Absolutely.
So anyway, but that's kind of, I think, what you're going to find down there. And I think as you talk about, Louisville won't be the same after this. You guys have so leveraged AI in such an incredible way, in ways that shocks me. And I like to think I'm pretty well cutting edge, not like Dave cutting edge, but more like Forrest Gump cutting edge. Right. But anyway, I mean,
you on your snapper mower.
Yeah, my snapper mower. Yeah, that's not around anymore. So anyway, but I'm just saying again, I think that's what you're going to find with this. I think, and there's going to be people then, and there already is one that's got a big investor.
Yeah.
That
they're going to try to catch up.
And they're going to catch up because you guys are already at the moon, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are going, okay, we're at the moon. Now let's go to Mars. And
Yeah.
they're just trying to figure out how the hell to get to the moon.
Absolutely.
So I think that's going to be the big thing for you. I really do. And I think as people see your product, Triton, and what it can do and the integrations like you have with gravity. And I think that's going to be the game changer. And I'm excited about Equip this year. Nice thing. And I go to Equip every year, obviously, because I speak.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is Equip is where you see not only the stuff that's being built today, but Equip is where all the innovative, creative stuff comes in. And I'm
Absolutely.
so excited to walk around there and see what other companies are doing with AI, not software companies, because none of them are doing anything with it other than you guys. But I think that's kind of the cool thing. And like I say, so I think when you talk about it's never going to be the same, I don't think it ever will be the same. I think you guys are going to be the one that creates that leapfrog event that nobody's going to catch you. They're all going to try.
Yeah.
Every one of them's going to try. Right. But as
Yeah.
I told you before, everybody else's software out there, including the one that just got the big investment.
Yeah.
They're taking a 1,500 square foot house and building a bedroom on the side of it where you have to walk through the bathroom to get to the bedroom.
Yeah.
You guys built yours from the ground up. The whole thing is like that. So anyway, so I'm excited. I think it's going to be huge down there. And I mean, you already can see the people that are signing up to come in. The number is massive.
It is. It's massive, and it's mind blowing. And with that, I mean, it's a little staggering, but that creates that, why does the storm matter? Right. Is the storm is where you separate dreamers from the doers. Right. It's so you have this, okay, the storm's here. We're gonna, I've dreamed up this dream, right? I've got sails are up. We're going straight into the heart of the storm. It makes me think of bison, right? Bison are a perfect example. When a big storm comes away, most animals turn and run away from a storm. What does the bison do? Right? They turn and go straight into the storm because they know the quicker they get through the storm, the quicker it's over.
Exactly. If I run into the storm, I get out of the storm quicker.
Yeah.
If I go slowly away from the storm, I'm going to be in the storm my whole life.
Yeah. And so that's what takes those and separates those dreamers from those doers, is saying, I'm going to take this storm head on. I'm going to make the most of this ability. And it's not about waiting for calm, right? It's learning to move through the chaos. And I think as every entrepreneur, the quicker you can learn to move through chaos, because your whole life as an entrepreneur is fucking chaos. I mean,
it is chaotic. It is. I don't care how. And this kind of goes back, and we've talked about Mike and Cass a million times on this podcast, and rightfully so, because they're, number one, phenomenal people. And this kind of goes back to their book, Shoveling Shit, right? You're going to be shoveling shit all your life. Absolutely. Right. What you do is you get used to the smell, right? You get more comfortable with it, but there's always chaos. I mean, you're not, you're never going to be out of a chaotic situation until you're dead. Right. Yeah. But again, it's a piece of it. But I think that your point, I love that, your analogy with the buffalo, don't run away from it. Don't wait for it to pass, run through it. Yeah. And that's what you have to do. You just have to say, okay, this is this chaos. Screw it. We're going to get through this. So let's just grab hands and we're going to run through this baby together. Absolutely. Right. And close your eyes, but there will be an end to the other side of this thing. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and the quicker we run through it, the quicker we see the end. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. Because, absolutely. Because there's always clear skies after the storm passes. Right? Well, and that gets you back to that leapfrog, advantage, because it's the quicker you can get out of that first storm. Yes. Right. All of your competitors, everybody's still in that storm. Absolutely. Right? Because they hunkered down. They're sitting under an overpass on the highway with their flashers on. Their flashers on. Turn your freaking flashers off. I see you under the overpass. You're there with 18 other people. Yeah. Yeah. And so now just to get the hell out of my way. I'm moving at a quick rate because I'm actually, the storm's way in front of me and I'm bypassing everyone who's still scared. Like, oh, well, what if there's another rain shower? What if there's this? I embrace it. We learn from it and say, oh shit, I hydroplaned that time. They probably shouldn't do that again. Yeah. Slow down a little bit, but that was kind of exciting. It's kind of exciting. The fact that I didn't have any control over my vehicle for a moment. But you can't wait for the calm, right? There's not going to be a calm moment in entrepreneurship. Well, and you don't really want it to be. I mean, I think one of the challenges that, and I know it's even with me in my business, I've been doing this a long time. If there's calm, it becomes boring to me. Yeah, okay, absolutely. And so I just met with my team today, and we talked about, we're going to really focus on leapfrogging and having that conversation with our dealers starting this next year. And we've got a lot of cool things planned out. But I met with my team and I said, hey, it's time for us to leapfrog too, right? We've been doing dealer success groups for 10 years now. They're good, they're great, but I'm bored with it. Okay, yeah. So let's, we don't have to not do them. Yeah. But we need to do something that's radically different. Absolutely. And I think again, and then I go like, okay, well, I've been doing this a long time, but I'm excited about finding a radically different way to do this that still is compelling to the people that are in it. So I think that's a piece of it. But chaos keeps your blood going. It really does. It does. And and that's the kind of, as we're moving this, when the show hits, that you've earned every absolutely a second of it, right? Like you prepared, you're ready, you're excited, you have everything going. And if it doesn't go perfect, that's fine. Learn, fail forward, right? Always fail forward. If there was a failure at that, and if it might be a small failure, learn from it, say, okay, let's make an adjustment.
we had people coming up to Pace and go, so what is Triton? Is that something that we can attach to our current software? And
Did
I'm
you
like,
go, oh, hell no.
oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We did not think through this at all. And
this
so
is not an add-on to your
so we have
software.
brand new banners that explain everything that Triton does in all of our modules. And so we failed forward. We go, that was a failure. We didn't have brochures at Pace. That was a failure. But we have brand new banners that explain what actually Triton is and that it's not just an add-on.
Right.
And we're not just selling a kiosk.
Right. Yeah. Although the kiosk is pretty cool.
The kiosk is really cool. And we have brochures. So when people go, hey, I want to learn more, and we're 20 people deep, and say, hey, I would love to talk to you more. Why don't you go ahead and reach out to us? Let's schedule a one-on-one demo. Here's our information. As we kind of failed forward with that.
Right.
But the reality of it is, if you've ever felt the pre-launch chaos, you're in good company. And this is one of every entrepreneur's standing in the wind. We've all felt it. At some point, you can say, okay, the wind's going to hit me. The wind's going to hit me. I'm going to open my parachute and we're going to fly. And in the words of Steve Harvey, right? Everybody jumps at some point. You have to jump. At some point, your parachute's going to open. You're going to hit the rocks.
If it doesn't matter.
And you're going to get scraped up. It's going to suck.
Absolutely.
But at some point, as long as you continue to fight, and as long as you continue to build that motivation, at some point, your parachute is going to open.
Absolutely.
You might not soar as high as you think you're going to soar, but it's going to open. And maybe the wind's going to blow you in a different direction and go, let's pivot.
But that's okay.
Mike and Cass talk about all the time. You got to pivot. But.
Yeah, be smart enough to know if it blows you in a different direction. It was probably divine interventions. And God's going, well, you're an idiot. I'm just going to have to move you over here because you're going to die over here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know the water looks hard, but that cliff over there is harder. So yeah, sometimes you just have to be appreciative that there is some divine guidance in the whole process.
Absolutely.
And don't fight it. Take advantage of it.
Yes. So with that, we're kind of wrapping up for our podcast tonight. I want to thank everybody who's here. Make sure that if you're new here, you follow us on all of our social medias. Follow Triton, follow Gravity Payments, follow BCI, follow all of us on the social medias to see what's happening at Equip. And maybe this is not your industry that you're in, but see what we're doing, see what we have found that works for us. And if you have questions about why we did something in our booth, or if you go on and check out bobclements.com, you can see some of Bob's videos. Figure out what's working for him. If you don't understand it, send us an email. Ask us some questions.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing. Again, my email is just bob@bobclements.com. But I would love to. I mean, I'm happy. I work with young speakers a lot.
Yeah.
Because again, that's kind of my business there. But entrepreneurs and stuff like this, I'm at a point in my life where I've been blessed, and I want to help other people who are going on a journey. Because my journey wasn't smooth all the way through, but I finally got through it. My parachute opened, and I got to land in a really beautiful field.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Not in the rocks or in the water.
But I have to thank everybody again. If you're here from the outdoor power equipment industry and you are going to be at the Equip, make sure that you connect with Bob and I.
Yep.
Bryce Miller, I see you're in here from LinkedIn. You said you're going to be down at the show. Hope to see you there. You don't have to hope to see me there. You can come by. I will make sure that I spend some time to connect with you. For sure. You just come by and say, hey, I saw you guys on Unplugged Unfiltered. I will take the time to have a conversation with you. Absolutely there. But again, we have to thank everybody. But before we end this, I have a special secret thing that Bob and I are going to do. So Liquid Death, we're huge fans of Liquid Death, but they have a new Fruity Pebbles flavored water. And so we're going to try the new Fruity Pebbles flavored water, and we're going to get our reactions. First time. Does it taste like Fruity Pebbles, or does it not taste like?
Okay. Is that what these? That's what these are. I was wondering, you set these down here, and I'm like, okay, well, what is that?
So this is the Liquid Death Cereal Criminal.
Oh, I love this.
and it's supposed to taste exactly like Fruity Pebbles. Now I'm going to say it has 15 calories. It has 3 grams of sugar. I can guarantee that a bowl of Fruity Pebbles has more than 50 calories and 3 grams of sugar.
A bowl of Fruity Pebbles has a cup of sugar.
Yes. So we're going to try this.
Hang on.
We're going to see what we think of our Liquid Death Serial Criminal Fruity Pebbles mix. So let's try it. That tastes exactly like
tastes like Fruity.
That's pretty crazy.
Great job, guys.
Yeah.
That is really good.
That is really crazy. So
if you like Fruity Pebbles, you got to try
if you like Fruity Pebbles, definitely go on. Again, Liquid Death. Thanks for putting out some pretty fun flavors.
That is pretty cool.
But yeah, we had to try it.
I would say yes. That tastes like Fruity Pebbles.
It is awesome. So with that, we're going to sign off for the night. We appreciate every single one of you. Again, make sure that you like, follow, subscribe to all of our channels here: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch. We're on all of them. Unplugged, Unfiltered podcast.
You got a new website too.
We have a new website. It's not up. It should be up by the end of this week.
Never mind that. Everybody forget that.
Yes, but if you go to unpluggedunfiltered.com, our new website should be up by the end of this week. Make sure that you go over, check it out. All of our social medias are on there. All of our previous podcasts are on there. So if you missed one, you can see how bad it was when we first started compared to where we're at now.
We've improved.
We've improved just a little bit. So we thank everybody here. One of the cool features, if you go to our website, and it's the new website, you guys can actually put in show ideas for our website. So if you have a question,
we won't do them.
No, we're not going to do them.
But they could put them in.
You can put them in.
But it gives you guys the opportunity to really participate, ask your questions, and then we'll start building shows around some of your guys' questions. And we'll make sure that we tag you when we push that show live so that you know that we're talking about your question.
And you should be required to be on the show with us.
100%. Absolutely. Yes.
Somehow we have to figure that out.
Yeah. So anyways, we appreciate everybody. With that, we are going to end for tonight. We will catch you next week live in Louisville.
Right.
No voices, exhausted, but still having a hell of a time as we're going through the storm. So,
and we're going to do it from Louisville, from the Expo Center, correct?
Yes. It's going to be that is a storm in it of itself.
It doesn't matter.
How do you move a whole podcast studio to multiple states?
We will figure it out.
We will figure it out, and we will be live from Louisville. So with that, you guys have a great night. We will catch you next week here on Unplugged Unfiltered. Thanks
everybody.
Never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this.